Yes, it has been a tough year for these guys. And
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
perhaps that's why there's been a 4% drop in people applying to university, because Hamda here, you know just how stressful it can be getting that place.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
What happened in your case?
I applied for medicine the first time round, and unfortunately I ended up not getting a place. But I've actually deferred entry, so I've got a gap year ahead now. I've just been getting my application stronger over summer, so.
And you still need?
I need A-star A.
Oh.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
And perhaps that's why, Elise, you're not going to university.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
That put you off, all that pressure?
I think so, yeah. There's a lot of pressure now to choose a path so early in life, and I don't really want to limit myself to one path before I find out what I want to do.
So what are you doing, and what do you need?
I'm doing the Art Foundation course, which is still here. I don't really need any grades for it, but I still want to do however well I can.
Wish we were her right now.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Joe, you're actually doing an apprenticeship, but you still need good grades, don't you?
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Yeah,
I need 120 UCAS points, so I need my extended project and a B from 2 of my 3 A levels.
Okay, so yours might be a bit tougher to figure out. So
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
why don't we crack those envelopes open nice and quickly, whip them out like a sticking plaster.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
As I was saying, there has been a drop in people applying for university, perhaps because of this exam stress.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Hamda, do you think you might get to go next year?
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Well, I got AAB and an A-star in my extended project, so I'm not sure about that, actually.
That's amazing, though. Can we give her a round of applause? Because that's fantastic. Whatever happens, that is absolutely fantastic.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Elise, I'm going to save you to last because you showed so chilled out.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Joe, did you get what you needed?
I got an A-star, 2 A's and a C.
Wow, is that enough?
Yeah.
Yes. Fantastic. And Elise, the one we're all extremely jealous of today, because it doesn't matter, but what did you get?
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
I got an A-star BB and then an A-star in my extended project.
Fantastic. Well done. And
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
that just shows that the pressure isn't the only thing that makes you do well.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
See, we've mainly got smiles, which is a big relief.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
But these two best friends, Liam and Joe, have offered to go last.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
So thank you very much, guys. Sorry for the wait. We've got Liam Scroggy and Joe Sylvester. Best name out there.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Liam, tell us what you want to do and what you need.
Doing politics at Queen's University, so I need an A and 2 Bs.
You need quite tough grades for that, and that's probably why a lot of people are scared to go to uni and those admissions are dropping.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Joe, you've got a different track, haven't you?
Yeah.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Yeah, so I need a B and 2 Cs to do my apprenticeship at Deloitte in accountancy.
Which is an amazing opportunity that you were picked from.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Yeah, I had to go through 2 interviews, online tests and assessment day, so it was a really long process.
Wow, what?
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
What do you need again?
A B and 2 Cs.
Lovely. So you guys, if you open them up together, these guys are best friends. They wouldn't do it without one another.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Let's see. Liam, did you get what you needed?
No. I got a B, C, a B and a D. Yeah.
So what are your other options now? Have you talked them through with your principal?
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
I don't know yet, but when this is finished, I'll have a look. And then at the end of the day, it's win or lose, we're on the booze, isn't it? So, yeah. Yeah.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
You were telling me, actually, that you'd like to go to Hull University as a backup, wouldn't you? So if they don't take you at Belfast, Hull, City of Culture, cracking place.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
How did you do, Joe?
I got an A star in maths, B in further maths and A star in economics.
Wow, fantastic. So that's really good.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
I want you to give a round of applause for both of these guys.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
We've had more good news than bad, and in fact, I've even got some more good news for you. We met Liam earlier, who missed out on his first choice, but you've got your second choice university, Hull. Bring it on, Hull. And
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Hamda, who missed 1 mark, she is going to get a look at her papers and see if she can appeal the process. So good luck with that, Hamda.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
But there are also another couple of girls who got a bit of a shock this morning. We have Fiona and Laura, and they're going to talk us through their results. So, first of all, Fiona, tell us what you needed and what you got.
I needed BBB and I've got BCC, but Harper have let me in on my results that I've got.
So you've got in anyway. And
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
that is actually the case with yourself as well, isn't it?
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Yeah, so I needed 3 A's and I got 2 A's and a B, but my firm choice, Bristol, let me in for my course as well.
So a classic example of not to give up if you do miss a couple of those results.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
Guys, did you find the exams particularly hard? Because they have changed. Everything's piled at the end of that second year.
I could sure use a hug right now. That feels better.
I'd say they're quite difficult having to keep everything till the end.